They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could.
You were sleeping peacefully on your bed while the morning light was streaming through the dull curtains of your bedroom. You pulled your sick blanket closer to your chest, unconsciously did a sudden increase of coldness in your bedroom. Suddenly sweat started to cover your forehead and you removed the blanket, which was covering your beautiful body. Your red silk nightgown was visible now. Your chest heaved up and down steadily, showing that you were still sleeping. Suddenly you sat up on the bed while breathing heavily. Sweats were forming to your forehead while you looked around, your eyes stuck on the wall clock which showed 8 o'clock in the morning. This was 15th time you were having this dream. Why and why I feel something, my you thought to yourself while wiping off sweat from your forehead. While you were thinking about it, you heard a knock on the door. Why come in, you said, rubbing your tired eyes. The maid in her 50s entered dinner. She bowed at you. Maid, Miss Wyan, the boss is calling you downstairs for the breakfast, she said warmly. You sighed, pressing your fingers on your forehead. Wyan, okay, tell him that I am coming in 5 minutes. You said politely. The maid nodded and then left. You got up from the bed and went to the bathroom for doing your morning routine. Once you were done brushing your teeth and taking a warm shower, you came back in your bedroom. Taking few steps forward, you reached your wardrobe from where you picked up the red dress. Slipping into it, you looked at yourself in the mirror before heading to the downstairs. As you walked in a huge dining table, you saw your parents having breakfast. Your dad sipped a coffee, his sharp eyes looked up at you as you quickly bowed down, his smile gesturing you to take a seat beside your mother. You looked at your mother, who was a delicate lady in her early 40s, but she looked way more younger than her age as she had maintained herself perfectly. Making sure that you were dressing elegantly, not the bedding clothes you often wear. Two maids came to you along with food trays in their hands as they quickly started to serve you, which made you roll your eyes. Since the day you were born, everyone around you had treated you like the most precious pearl, and this really bothered you as you wanted to live a normal life like any other person. Whenever you asked your parents that you wanted to go to parties along with your school friends, they would have thousands of contexts to deny, and one of them, which always got on your nerves, was your mom saying, my daughter, you are not like any other girl. They are normal, but you are special, and we need to protect you until the right time comes. Her saying always made you pissed off. You wanted to live a happy teenager life just like any other girl, but your parents were not in this favor as they wanted to give you extravagant life full of luxuries. You sighed and looked at your plate, which was filled with 2 eggs, bacon, sausages, shrimps, pancakes with chocolate syrup dripping on top of them. Your parents looked at each other and your dad gestured your mother to begin first. She nodded her head while cupping fakely, only to get your attention. Mother, why and dear, she began softly, placing her fork down on the table. You frowned looking at her. Mother, we knew this day would come. We made an agreement with your dad's boss, Mr. Jeon, when you were born. She paused, looking at your dad, who smiled weakly at her. Apparently, your dad had been an active member of Market. He worked for Mafia as he was the right hand of Mr. Jeon, who was renowned in Korea. As far as you knew your parents, you could feel that they were going to bless you with the most unexpected news of the year, as their facial expressions were really strange. Mother, Mr. Jeon had lent your hand for his son Jeonjungkook when you were born, and we couldn't deny we brought you up for him. We protected you 'cause you were his, she said, looking at your face as you made hundreds of expressions during her words. When so you both did an agreement with your mafia boss? You said your grip tightened around your fork. Dad, hey, watch your tone. This is about family, respect, and honor. You have been blessed to be a part of this life, and we're not new. We had an agreement. We can't disobey his order, he said sternly, looking at you. When blessed, I have spent my entire life surrounded by guards and locked doors. You said loudly. Your mom raised her hand, trying to calm you, mother enough. We didn't give you a right to talk to us like this. You have always been protected. Everything we have done for you, she said, making you frown. Why? Oh, I don't want to live under the shadow of the mafia. I want freedom. I want out. You said, making the guards look at each other in a disbelief, as no one ever talked to your dad like that. Your dad groaned. He stood up from his chair. Dad, how do you talk to me like that? I promised the boss that you and Jungkook would be united, and I can't break it. You will marry Jungkook, and that's final. The conversation is over, he said, making the guard stop by his stern voice. Tears pricked at the corner of your eyes, but you blinked them back. You didn't want to show yourself weak in front of your parents. Your dad left the dining table after glaring at you for one last time. Mom, Mr. Jeon will come to see you tonight, so dress up well, she said and walked out the dining room. Your heart sank at the thought that your parents gave you this life as your dad's boss wanted, so you had to spend your whole life according to your parents' orders. Time skip once pove. I was sitting on the chair while my mother was doing my makeup. This was not a normal. My life is not a movie, and I'm not an actor who will act according to script which is written by parents. Mother, so straighten your back, dear. You will have to make a good impression. Mr. June would be coming any minute soon. She said, applying blush on your rosy cheeks. Why am I supposed to obey your order? I said lowly, looking at her through the mirror. Mother, my dear Jungkook is a nice man. It's true he is mafia, but I assure you that he will take good care of you, she said, caressing your hair. I sighed, looking at my reflection. My mother had put a lot of makeup on my face, making me look like a woman in 30s. I was wearing a black dress. Dad, they are here, he said from the downstairs, making my mother hurried up. Mother, you need to get down right now, okay? She said, falling few strands of my silky hair on my forehead. I nodded and then she left the room. After 10 minutes, Mom called me from the downstairs. Getting up, I groaned and then walked downstairs. While I was descending the stairs, I heard my dad laughing and giggling to someone. As I reached the living room, I saw a man in all his glory sitting on the leather couch while the four guards in black suits were standing beside him, two on each side. It was surely Mr. June, as he had seen some pictures of him with my dad. Mr. June, welcome, welcome. You got more beautiful, he said and walked towards me with enormous grin plastered on his face. Why, and so what? I replied. He chuckled obnoxiously, motioning towards the guards. I was not gonna scared. Dad, boss, this is my daughter Lee Wyan, my father blabbered, walking towards him. Mr. June, so I know, he said in a clipped tone, making my dad bored. He looked at me from head to toe. Mr. June, you would have not remembered my son Jungkook. The day you were born, we came to congratulate your dad. At that time, Jungkook was 5 years old. When I asked him that did he like his baby sister, he gave me a weird reply. I was shocked, and then we often came to your dad's house. Jungkook used to find excuses to play with you, but then when he was 12, I sent him to Italy for his training. I thought he would forget you, but he didn't. He had some kind of flame with you, 'cause he used to send his cards. Though I wanted to make you the wife of my son when you were born, but seemed just couldn't wait anymore. So you will be moving in my mansion. My guards have already packed your stuff. You can know him for a few days, and after that, if you feel comfortable, you can marry him, he said, making my eyes widen in disbelief. Our living room had air conditioned system. But suddenly I felt extremely warm. I looked at my parents with my pissed off face, whose eyes were wandering around. Why, and mom, dad, I said, walking to my parents. Mother, my dear, try to understand. It's for your betterment. Jungkook is a nice guy. Assure you that he will take care of you, she said, trying to make you calm down. Why and what? Are you gonna listening to what you are even saying? I protested. Mr. Jun looked at your dad. Why and boss, I request you to take her, he said, joining his hands. Mr. Jun, okay, he said into his man, who nodded, bowing at him. I was really pissed off now, and I really enjoyed nothing. I was sitting in a car when I said that I don't like I really meant it. Soon the black luxurious car stopped in front of the Jeon's mansion, and I was taken to the inside before I could take a full glance of the mansion. The Mafia boss sat on the plush sofa which was placed in the center of the big living room. Mr. Jeon, why are you standing there? Sit there. It's your house from now on, so make yourself comfortable here, he said. Why, that's not my house, and don't you think that I'm gonna sit here? I replied. The man in the black suit leaned forward. Mr. Jeon, get back, he said, making all of them get back. Why, dream zone, I muttered, giving him a frustrating look while I was acting justice of that man. I turned around to see the man with coldly features. His aura was screaming that he was Jungkook, but why he tended to be this much handsome? I thought it would be someone with big mustaches, black long hair, but he was an opposite to that. Make any offers to look handsome, 'cause he was born handsome. I looked into his dark eyes, which surely had some secrets. He was the most handsome man I had ever seen in my life. His jawline, cheekbones, veiny hand covered with a tattoo, lip piercing, everything was beautiful. But soon the reality hit me as Mr. Tune cleared his throat. Mr. Tune, this is my son Jungkook. He eyed me, looking pleased at the moment. Jungkook, sweet and beautiful, he said, taking my hands into his. Why, and hey, Jungkook, you might know I can call you by any name, he said. Mr. June cleared his throat, but you both ignored it as you were trying for each other. Why, you better maintain some distance, I said with my nose flaring. He looked at me with poking his inner cheek, a chuckle before I could understand. The men around him mimicked his every movement at his side. Jungkook, relax. You don't need to act so stupid. Why he is so charismatic. Mr. June, today's generation is so speedy. He didn't give me a chance. I tilted my head to Jungkook, who was staring at my face. Jungkook, Miss Mary, he said with his eyes lingering on me. The elderly woman in her 50s just inside the living room. Princess is tired. Show her new bedroom, he said. Sighing in a relief, I followed an elderly woman to the upstairs until we reached a beautiful room. I was really tired of all this, so I didn't realize when I fell into deep slumber. The next morning, Arthur spoke. You woke up from your sleep and found Jungkook standing right in front of your bed, looking at your face. Why and hey, what are you doing here? You asked, jumping on the floor. Jungkook, I was staring at you. He was smirking, which made you roll your eyes at him. Jungkook, breakfast is ready and everyone waiting for you, so get ready and calm down. He said, why and is it necessary to be present? You asked, looking at his face. Jungkook sighed. Jungkook, you will get used to it, 'cause you are going to be part of this family. Seeing that he left the room, you mentally groaned, getting up, brush your teeth, and changing into a floral frock. You walked downstairs. Reaching the huge dining table, you heard Mr. June talking to his son. The smell of delicious food expanded your nostrils 2.9 inches larger. Mr. June was sitting at the head of the table while Jungkook was sitting on the chair beside him. You bowed at Mr. Jeon and sat on the empty seat beside Jungkook, who gave you a small smile while cutting the steak, a sudden tear falling in front of his eyes, which made you sigh. I made serve you the breakfast containing scrambled eggs, toast, pancake, orange juice. Mr. Jeon, how are you doing here, dear? He said, wiping the corner of his mouth with his tissue paper. Why, I'm not well, you replied, making him chuckle. Mr. Jeon, don't worry, you will get used. She said, giving you a small grin. You looked at Jungkook, who made a sad fake pout before giving you a wink. Why, I will go out. I need to meet one of my friends, you said, eating the pancakes. Mr. June, why she want to meet you all of a sudden, Wyan? Look, you are Jungkook's responsibility. If you wanna meet your friend, I won't let you go alone. You will have to take him along with you. It's safe for you, he said. Wyan, no, you said and looked at him. Jungkook, don't worry, Dad, I will accompany her, he said, giving you a stare. With nose flaring, you stood up from your chair and walked outside the dining room with foot stomping. Grab Belisa at 9 o'clock. The vibrant energy of car was pulsing through the air, while music thumping, lights flickering in shades of neon. You were sitting on the chair dressed up in a shimmery black dress, while your friend Ada was sitting on the bar counter chair next to you. She sipped your cocktail when your gaze looked on Jungkook. Why and what does he think of himself? You said to Ada while glaring at Jungkook. Ada, but why and he is handsome. He looks like he walked out of some imaginary world. She whispered near your ear. Why, oh come on, he's just a man like any other man. You said, loudly so he could hear it clearly. Jungkook glared at you. Way you were calling him stupid, the way you were laughing so freely to your friend, the way you were glancing, everything was making him angry. He stood up, his bodyguards following his every step. You turned and found yourself face to face with the man whom you were seeing, Jungkook. What's your problem? He said. Why, I'm sorry, but I did. What would you do? You said, lacing the last word will surely add fuel on fire. Jungkook's jawline was tightened as he looked at you in a disbelief. Jungkook, you really need to behave nicely to me, Ryan, he said politely. Everyone was stunned to react and Ada was frozen on her place. Jungkook, you think you can harm me without facing the consequences? You will learn respect, he said. Few tears dropped on your cheeks as you looked at him. He snapped his man, brought out a beautiful white wedding gown. Why and what are you supposed to do? You asked. As you looked at him, Jungkook, we are getting married, princess, he said. Your eyes widened before you could process. You wore a beautiful gown. After some time, you were standing in a hall along with Jungkook, whose eyes were not leaving you. A priest who was there from Jungkook's men began the ceremony. Few minutes later, priest. At home. You were in Jungkook's bedroom. By some of the maids, the room was decorated with rose flowers and small candles. Tears were rolling down your cheeks while your eyes were stuck on the door, which could be opened anytime sooner by Jungkook. After some time, the door swung open and Jungkook entered in with a warm smile. Without answering you back, you smiled at him as he walked towards you. Jungkook, we are now married, Ryan, he said. The next morning, you were sleeping on the bed. Sweat started to cover your forehead. Suddenly, a hand moved, making you gasp as you sat on the bed. You looked on the other side where Jungkook was smirking. It was around 8 o'clock. This was 16th time, but now your dream had turned into the reality. Before you could get up, he held your hand, making your eyes widen.